Good morning, Wadsworth. I'm Janie Parrish, the director of the Wadsworth Area Chamber of Commerce, along with my stunningly gorgeous, fabulous, I always like to give him a little boost before the weekend in case he got down during the week, Michael Reynolds. Okay.
Good morning, my beautiful co-host, Janie Parrish.
It's like a love fest. Yeah, we build each other up. Yeah. Well, we have two fun people with us today, so we're going to try not to laugh because they tell us we cackle when they. So we're going to try. We can't help it. It's just not going to work.
That's probably why we haven't been picked up nationally.
Or on Saturday Night Live because we cackle. Okay, so we're here with two fabulous realtors, and they're from Howard Hanna, and this is Wendy Lightfoot here and Zach Rollins. So we were so excited to talk with both of you because we know it's going to be a good time.
I hope so.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay. Well, first of all, you work for Howard Hanna
Yeah.
here in Wadsworth. Okay. And you're a team. So
We are.
How many other people are on your team?
So now it's Wendy and myself, and then we have a buyer's agent, John Alexander. So it's the three of us. We handle the show together.
Okay. Oh, that's nice.
Yeah.
And you're located right here in Wadsworth on Great Oaks Trail.
Yeah, we are on Great Oaks Trail right in front of Bueller's.
Okay. Oh, that's nice for that salad bar for lunch.
Right.
Really. Yeah.
Now, were
Right.
you two close friends prior to determining you wanted to be partners together, I guess, as a team?
So we worked in the same office together for 2 or 3 years, and our manager at the time actually put us together on a project, and we had no intentions of being on a team or starting a team or anything of that nature.
Right.
But it worked out. It just kind of, the project is going so good, and then we kind of started tossing around ideas and figuring out how we could make it work, and we just started it kind of out of the blue and stuck with it, and now we're in year 3, I think, of being a team.
Yeah. 3, 4 years. Yeah.
Wow.
Boy, that has to take a lot of stress off. I would think being a realtor has a lot of stress involved in it.
Oh,
Is that-
absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and so and long hours and difficult hours.
Yeah.
Yeah, when you want to be home watching the rerun of Friends, you know, and
Right.
here you are.
And juggling kids' schedules and
Yeah, and
good
all
stuff.
of that. So, so tell me how this works. Like, for example, I would call and I'd say, I really want that Wendy Lightfoot and Zach Rollenstein to list my house and find me a new one. So how would that work?
So typically, when we get a call if somebody would like to list their house, typically both of us go out on our listing appointments. So we will go and we will meet the client together. We will sit down with them. Actually, what we typically do is we will go and we will tour the house with them, get a good view of the home, get kind of the idea of all the updates and things that they have done to the house. And then we like to sit down with them, talk about the comparable sales that have been in their area, and come up with a good price point for the property. And so we do that together, typically on all of our listing appointments. We do come together. So we like our sellers to know that we are a team and they're going to get all of us working on selling their home.
Yeah, so we, like she said, we just sit down with them. There's a lot of game planning that goes into it too, other than just the price. I mean, there's a lot of moving parts when you're
Right.
selling your house. So we find out where they're going, when they want to go, when they want to be there, how they want to get there. If they're staying in the area, we try to line everything up. So it's just a lot of figuring out and making sure that everything's going to line up together timing-wise, because we don't want to make anybody homeless.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, lots of coordinating.
We try our best to make you not have to move twice,
Right.
and streamline the process as much as possible, as much as we can. It's not always the case, but we try to make it as simple and smooth as possible.
Do you find that when you're evaluating a home that you generally have different perspectives on the value of the home, or are you pretty well aligned now that you've worked together for a long time? Is one
The
better
two
than
of
the
us
other?
are usually, I mean,
Absolutely.
we could turn it into a game show and we'd be within $2,000 of each other at
Price
the
is
time. I
right.
mean,
Yeah.
we're pretty spot on.
Yeah.
We're not always
Should have brought flashcard to show them.
right.
Right.
I can name that price in 2 notes.
Right. That's
We're
right.
not always in line with what the seller thinks that their house should be worth.
Or what Zillow thinks.
Or what
they're-
Zillow
right.
thinks, right. But we are usually pretty in line with each other. Once in a while there will be a discrepancy, but 99% of the time we're pretty darn close on value.
What if somebody comes in and says, I think my house is worth $25,000 more than what you want to list it for?
Zillow says it's worth at least $20,000 more.
Right.
Is that
So
what
what
happened?
we always do
Yeah.
is I'm always very upfront with them, and we always tell them we're not going to blow smoke. I don't want you to hate me in 6 weeks because your house isn't selling. So I'm going to be upfront with you. I'm going to tell you what I think your house is worth. But at the end of the day, you're hiring us. We work for you. You're the boss. So if you want to try and be aggressive and go for that price, we're all in. We'll do the best we can. But I'm just being upfront with you. I don't think you're going to get that price. So I don't try to smooth them or anything and let them think that it's worth a number that it's not, because I know when you're going to sell your house and you're making these plans, you're thinking about the dollar amount that you're going to have after the sale for your next purchase. So I don't want you to have a false number in your head of something that you're going to get, and then you're in trouble when you go to purchase the next house. So
And most people probably do have it. I mean, you have an emotional attachment to your home,
Right.
so you
Absolutely.
do probably overvalue it.
Right.
Absolutely.
Right.
And it's important for us too to educate the seller how the price is derived, and that really comes from the appraiser. And so we show them that these are the comparable sales that an appraiser is going to look at in value in creating the value for your home. And so I think that is the key really for us, is to educate them as to why we think the price is what it's going to be, so there isn't really surprise when an appraisal comes in.
Have you had someone go against your recommendation and you listed it $25,000 higher and then it sold for that? Or does it generally work the other way?
Generally, it works the other way. We end up
Yes.
coming down in price.
Yes.
I mean, typically, if it's going for above what we said, it's a couple $1,000s.
Right.
It's not anything.
Right.
Not a huge amount.
Yeah, no, we haven't
substantial.
seen anything that.
And I always warn them too, if we feel that it's this price and you get this price, which is awesome for you, you got to remember the house has to appraise. So we're
Someone has to be able to
excited.
buy it.
Exactly.
Right.
That's
We're excited
exactly.
that you got this price, but we'll be really excited when it appraises, because the bank is not going to lend you this money unless the appraisal comes in. So we always kind of warm them up for that too, because I don't want you to get excited and then 2 weeks down the road, just kidding, you got to take $5,000 less.
Yeah. Is that
Right.
a common
So-
thing where, not that, but where an appraisal comes in lower than what the sale price is?
It kind of was for a little while, because the market was so crazy and the comps hadn't caught up to the prices yet. So when the market starts to turn and starts to go crazy, you're 6 months ahead of the comps. So they
Right.
hadn't caught up yet. So we were having quite a few low appraisals because of that. So things in that area were all selling at the same price, but there was nothing recorded at that price yet. All these things were pending. So the appraisals hadn't come in yet. So, but now we're pretty much there. I mean, I think this year we've maybe had 2 come in low. One substantially low that I can think of, and one maybe $1,000 or $2,000.
Right.
But for the most part, the appraisals have caught back up with the market now, which is good for everybody.
Absolutely.
Now, what are people in Wadsworth looking for?
Ranches.
Yeah.
Everyone loves a ranch. That is always our highest demand of a home, is a ranch style home. But honestly, it doesn't really matter. Everything is selling as long as it's priced right. We have more buyers than we have sellers, so it is still definitely a seller's market. So I think as long as it's priced appropriately, it's going to sell, without
Wow.
a doubt. Without a
Do you
doubt.
foresee that continuing throughout the next year or anything like that?
I certainly
would think
do.
so. Just with the amount of buyers we still have in the market, and there's always going to be new ones coming in. I don't see it fizzling out anytime soon.
No,
it's crazy. I mean,
Yeah.
we list stuff and it's sold at list price or higher within 2 or 3 days. And people are like, oh, it's making your job so easy, and you're not even having to
No.
work. It makes it much harder.
Right, because we're working with buyers too that are
Right.
getting upset because they aren't finding the
They can't
houses.
find the one they want, or they find one, then they have to
Right.
get
I
the
mean, we
bidding
have
war or
buyers that
something.
you've
Right.
written
That's
4 or 5
right.
offers with that have gone in at or over what the people are asking, and they've lost out every time. So it's just it's crazy. It's all about preparing it right. And there's people now that are several we've had that are writing offers before the house is even available to be seen. There's a new thing
Yeah.
they're doing in our area
Yeah.
called
Yeah.
Coming Soon, and during that Coming Soon period, no one is allowed to show the house, but you can write an offer on it, sight unseen. And I've had 2 or 3 in the last couple months that have wanted to write offers before they're allowed to go in, because they know as soon as people go in, it's going to be a multiples in the first day or 2.
Right.
So it's just,
my gosh.
it's crazy.
Hey, what is so attractive about a ranch home? Because see, in my time of younger buying a home, it was always Center Hall Colonial.
Right,
Yeah.
right. Well, typically the one floor living is just the one style home that's really in demand. A lot of people really just like the ease of just having one floor.
And especially if people are thinking long term.
Absolutely.
If it's going to be their long term house, they don't want to have steps. And we're getting a lot of younger people too that want ranches. I'm showing a couple right now that's probably in their mid-30s and they only want to look at ranches. So and I think people are starting to realize that that's where the highest value is. So if you're putting money into a house, your biggest bang for your buck is going to be a ranch. So I think people are really starting to educate themselves more on the home values and where they're coming from. And so I think that's why a lot of people are going that direction.
And too, with the ranch, you've got bigger basements. So there's more space for them to finish off as opposed to 2 stories that have a smaller basement. So
That just boggles my mind.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's crazy.
especially for younger people. It
Yes.
seems like, yeah, I mean, that just has always, for me, that's been, the market has been a,
sure.
yeah, I don't have one, but that's,
But we'll get you one.
oh,
Yeah, we can find you one.
okay. Hey, tell me about, what are you seeing in trends on the inside of homes? What are people like going, this is great?
So the farmhouse decor is always a popular style right now. The sliding barn doors.
Everybody's still into the grays and the white
Whites.
trim, and if you can shiplap it. People are gonna love it.
That's right.
Yeah, I mean everybody's looking for those nice looking finishes, and a lot of people now too. Where it was a little bit, we were getting a lot of people wanting to flip houses and putting time and energy into them, and it seems like as of recently, with people having to pay such a high price for the houses that they're getting, they want them to be done. A lot of
Okay.
times. So
Yes.
those ones that are already finished and have those
Turnkey.
nice finishes and they're turnkey are going really fast and getting a really high price. Not that the other ones that need work aren't still selling fast, but just the price that people are getting for ones that are finished.
Absolutely.
It's crazy.
I'm always asking my husband about, our house is like 26 or 27 years old and everything's brass. And I want to replace it. And he's like, these are still good, you know, and they are, but they're so outdated.
Yeah.
Yeah. And lights and everything.
Well,
Yeah.
and it's amazing what you can do with some outdated things to, kind of update and there's the chalk paint and all of that stuff that, the older style things you can really kind of update and modernize.
For pretty inexpensive.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Well, they're pretty ugly.
Well, then maybe you want to do
Maybe
a
a
little
ship to
shopping.
Home Depot.
So if you have those older oak cabinets and brass, people are
Absolutely.
removing refacing them, redoing them.
A lot of people are painting
Just
them.
painting them. Yeah.
That chalk paint stuff is crazy.
It's
People
so
are
easy to use and it looks fantastic.
just do some
and
new
it's-
hardware and it
Absolutely.
looks like you got brand new cabinets.
Absolutely. So those are inexpensive ways to kind of update your house.
Yeah, our friend Kinsey that does our hair, she has a farmhouse and has completely redone it, including the countertops. She did some kind of treatment on the countertops, and
Yeah.
it's amazing.
It is amazing the different products that are out there.
There's
that-
a
so
lot
that
of
you can
DIY
update.
stuff now.
Yeah,
for
absolutely.
Pretty inexpensive.
And a lot of tutorials on YouTube and
Absolutely.
things
Yeah.
like that. This is what I do when I do a project. I push play and then stop it. Do it, push play. Wait a minute.
Back it up.
Yeah. So, but yeah, there's a lot of things that you can do.
Absolutely.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, so what's one thing that you should never do when you're selling a home?
Paint over wallpaper. Don't do it.
Okay.
Take the wallpaper down.
People actually do that?
Oh my goodness,
Absolutely.
you wouldn't believe how much we see it.
Because they just don't want to work to take the
Yeah.
wallpaper down?
It is.
Yeah.
I mean, it can
It
be
is a lot of work. I've
challenging.
done
It
it.
is.
A lot of
Yeah, we have done it as well, and it's not fun. What a
No.
fun project. But we've got some really great people that we can recommend that can take it
Yeah, we
down.
found a guy that just did some for us for pretty inexpensive.
Yeah, absolutely. So if you don't want to
Yeah.
do it yourself, there are
There's some people out
really
there
good
that'll do
people
it.
out there that will do it for not too
So-
much.
So don't paint over wallpaper.
Yeah.
Anything else that's just a no-no with if you're going to be selling your house anytime soon?
Typically, you don't want to paint like bright colors. You know, a lot of times we kind of want things more neutral, and just keep things neutral.
Yeah, nothing over the top. Just you got to remember that you're trying to appeal to the masses, not to appeal to your wife at this point. So if they've got crazy tastes or whatever, just try to rein it in a little bit.
That would be me.
Right.
Just save it for the new house.
Right. Don't waste it on this house.
That's
Save
right.
it for the new one.
Save it for the new one.
Now, what about, because almost everybody has pets, what do you do about your pets? When you
So-
go to show houses or the realtor comes in, what do you do?
Most of the time, if you can remove them from the house, is ideal.
Okay.
But if they're home, I mean, we show houses all the time that have
Absolutely.
dogs in a cage or a cat running around or whatever the case is. I just showed one this week in Westfield that had about a 6-foot snake in the dining room.
Yeah.
Yeah, that one was interesting. Their
Yeah.
3-year-old did not think it was funny
Yeah.
at all. But yeah, I mean, if they have to be home, not the end of the world. But I will say to some people that are looking at the houses, if they're not an animal person and they see the dog crate, they see the dog toys, and there is an odor to the house, it is a major turnoff to some people. So if you can get them out of the house and help with some of that, it definitely is always going to help. But if it's not the end of the world.
Absolutely.
Okay. Now, what about an odor, a pet odor or something? I would have the hardest time saying to somebody, your house really smells bad.
Yeah, and sometimes
Yeah.
we unfortunately have to
Yeah.
have those tough conversations.
And most of the time they know. They'll ask
Right.
us. And we're nice about it. I mean, we know this is your home, this is your pride and joy, and it is what it is. But it's just, I mean, that's what you hire us for. And that's what we tell people too as soon as we meet them, like, we're here, we're gonna help you, we're gonna get through this, but you're not always gonna love what we have to say, but we're doing this because this is why we're here. You need someone to tell you the hard stuff too.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's the same, I mean, with any kind of feedback. So when we have showings, we get feedback from agents as to why they did or didn't like the house, and sometimes you gotta tell them they don't like grandma's carpet from 1964 or the wallpaper from the 70s or whatever that they're attached to and they love, and that's why they've had it since the 60s and 70s. So there's always a bit of awkward conversation there, but it has to be had, and that's why they have us and hire us. I mean,
Absolutely.
that's
Yeah.
what we're here for.
Now, what are you seeing for kitchen trends that people are looking for?
It's a little all over the map
It is.
still.
It really is.
A lot
Which
of
is great.
Right, right. So it's not like if you don't have this one thing, you're out of the ball game.
Okay.
So I mean, a lot of people are still like in the white cabinets. Everybody always loves a granite or a quartz countertop.
Absolutely.
That's a huge, big bang for your buck if you can do it. Any backsplash tiles. I mean, there's just so much different stuff out right now that it's not like there's one trend that's hitting. And I mean, even the chalk paint stuff. People walk in and they see a freshly painted kitchen cabinet and they love that too. I mean, Chip and Joanna Gaines have done wonders for some cheap paint.
That's
Absolutely.
I mean,
Absolutely.
people love that show. They love all that kind of stuff. So what you can do for $100 to give your kitchen a pretty big makeover is crazy. Really.
Dark or light counters when you said granite. And
It
quartz.
completely.
Kind of all over
We
the
see
map.
it all. Absolutely.
Yeah.
I think your biggest thing is just to make sure that it is clean and
Okay.
tidy. You know, put all of your extra appliances kind of away. Let people see how much counter space you actually do have. Maybe declutter the refrigerator if you have lots of photos and things like that. So really just kind of keep it kind of streamlined and clean.
I always tell people if it's smaller than a milk jug, put it in a box and put it in a storage unit or a basement. You're going to be packing it up in a month anyways, so just get a start now. So.
Right.
Oh my gosh, you guys have such an interesting job.
It's wonderful.
yeah.
It is-
Different every day.
It is. It truly is.
Oh
It
my
is.
gosh. Well, and above all, I love your relationship. I mean, truly, just best friends. It's just awesome.
Yes,
Thank you.
thank you.
Yeah, and you know, working together like that, like Michael and I.
Yes, you have to.
Right,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Right.
Poor guy. 2 years he's been the president of the chamber. I just hit number 2.
That's hilarious.
Yeah, but I think working with 2 of you together, because you know, a lot of times, I know in the past when I've sold homes, that you feel like you're bothering the realtor if
Right.
you know what I mean? But it's so emotional.
Right.
You
Right.
know?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
And we don't ever want our clients to feel as though that they are a bother in any
Right.
way.
And we do a lot of texting with our clients too, which I think makes it easier for them.
Absolutely.
We'll certainly do as much phone call and phone time as you want, or come over and meet you. But I think if you have a question at 10, 11 o'clock at night and you feel a lot more comfortable just shooting a text, and when we see it, we'll see it. And if it's tonight, we'll get back to it. If it's tomorrow morning, we'll get back to it. But I mean, probably 2-3 nights a week I'm texting with a client at 9, 10, 11 o'clock at night. Because, I mean, this is
my gosh.
the biggest
Yeah.
decision and thing you're going to do in your life. I mean, this is a huge, huge issue. So if you're at 10 o'clock at night worried about my appraisal or inspection or whatever the case is, I wouldn't want to go to bed worried about it. So if I can shoot you back a text in 30 seconds, I'm going to do it.
Oh, that is really
so,
nice.
Yeah, I mean, we just try to be as available as possible, and I think
Absolutely.
that's what a lot of our clients really like. I mean,
And sometimes it's not even, you know, sometimes it's just they need some emotional support.
Right.
Honestly,
Oh my
because
gosh,
it's
sure.
a stressful process. It can be a very stressful process, and you know, it is the biggest financial purchase that you're going to make, and so a lot of times they just kind of need a little hand holding, and it's going to be
having
okay.
two people on a team, two different, even though you get along very well.
Right.
I'm sure have a little different personalities.
Right.
And
Sure.
maybe a buyer or seller will click with you, and the next
Right.
one more with you, and it gives
Right.
a little bit of balance, I would think.
right. and
Absolutely.
typically, with most of our sellers, that's pretty much how it goes.
Yeah,
Typically,
absolutely.
we both go on the appointments, but then one of us becomes the main point of contact, just whoever kind of clicked with them more. They always have all of our contact information, and if they can't get a hold of one of us for whatever reason, they can always get the other. But it is kind of like that. Usually it ends
Yeah.
up being one of us as the point of contact for the seller at that point.
Yeah, absolutely.
Now, and I do want to say, I know you've been heavily involved in the community. So it's not just that you're coming in to sell people Wadsworth and bring
Right.
them in or help them find another place. You're actually involved in the community.
Absolutely.
Yes, so I
Yes.
mean, that's kind of been a big thing with us from the start. I mean, we know that we could not do our jobs without the people of this community. If you're not selling your houses, we're out of business. So we feel that they have helped us to grow and get to the point that we're at in our career. So without them, we're nothing. So whatever we can do to help give back, we certainly do. We did the Wadsworth Grizzlies Community Foundation with you guys,
Yep.
and that was awesome. And then we chaired I chaired with Denise Flanagan, who used to be on our team, the Children's Free Care Fund. Our office does it. I did it for, I think, 4 years, 5 years. This is my first year I gave it up, actually. So we did anywhere from $30,000 to $40,000 at our event for that event every year.
Oh,
and
that's
it was just
amazing.
awesome to see everybody in the community. Everybody here is so supportive. And our office, the Wadsworth office, is one of the smallest offices in our area for Howard Hanna, and one of the smaller offices in our company. And one year we did, I think $42,000 was our biggest year, and that was the record, and still is the record for the entire company across 11 or 12 states for one office to bring in. So one of the smallest little offices that gets put by the wayside sometimes just because we are so small, was the biggest and still is the biggest in that fundraising. So I think that says a lot for Wadsworth and our community. So
It says a lot about your ability to engage in the community, not just
Yep.
Wadsworth,
Oh,
so thank you for
absolutely.
yeah,
that.
absolutely.
And that event actually is coming up, isn't it?
Yeah, it is November 2nd, I think it is. It's that Friday
Yes.
night at the Galaxy. There are still some tickets available, so if anybody was interested, you can get them at the Howard Hanna Wadsworth office. It's $100 for a ticket. That's for 2 people. It enters you into a reverse raffle. They give away $2,000. All kinds of sideboards, raffles, baskets, all kinds of stuff. There's a DJ, cash bar, nice big dinner. So yeah, there are still some tickets available, so if anybody wanted to come.
Okay.
So we have to ask, so do you have your tickets?
We
Do
don't.
need-
We
but
don't.
we better look at our calendars.
Right.
Well,
Better
we will
see if
sell
you're
you one.
available.
I love this.
Set yourself up for that one.
Yeah, I know it. I'm good with it, though.
We can sell homes and tickets.
Right.
Okay.
You sell anything you want.
Okay. Okay, so I wanted to tell you, I will never forget when last year when we did our first Wadsworth Grizzlies Community Foundation, and these two were the big sponsors. Okay, so normally I've done so many fundraisers that like the day of the fundraiser, you start at 9 o'clock and you're there the whole day setting up. Okay, so we started at 6 o'clock because I got a nap in. It was awesome. They had set everything up.
So they're working with you on any fundraiser you're ever involved with.
Right.
Because
We're
those
hired.
naps
I won't
are important.
Yeah, I won't do
Right.
another one without them. But anyways, that was just amazing to me that not only were you the sponsors, but you did the work. And seriously,
You could tell you've done that before in your
Yeah.
years with the Howard Hanna event, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Well, we were happy to do it, for sure.
And that's what's nice. I mean, we had it kind of down to a science with that event, and then it's just applying it to other places. And I'm not going to say it's simple. It's a lot of work, but we've simplified the process.
Sure.
yeah,
So
they had everything set up just gorgeous. I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm saying to David, we got to get these guys again.
that's funny.
Hey, have you ever sold a house in one day?
Yes. Yeah.
Oh my gosh, I bet the sellers and
Yeah.
the buyers were so happy.
Yeah, it's and I mean I won't say a lot, but it does happen fairly frequently now, just with the market being so crazy. But I mean, if it is going to sell in one day, we always have to remember it is exciting to get the sale in one day, but at the end of the day, we represent the sellers, so we have to make sure everything's in the best interest of our sellers and that they are getting the best possible price for their house. So if you get an offer and it's not an incredible offer on day one, I'd never tell them to take it. So I mean, we always have to remember that we're always looking out for the best interest of our sellers.
That's
so
awesome.
When that happens and someone comes in with a basically list price offer, is there ever an instance where you think, well, maybe we should still not accept it because?
So it's a fine line. You have to, I mean, there's a lot of things you have to look at when you're looking at the offer. It's not just the price. So you got to see, are they doing inspections? Are they having an appraisal? How much is their down payment? Are they asking for closing costs? What kind of loan are they doing? Are they cash? I mean, there's all kinds of things that go into it. So if it is a full solid price offer and they are a good buyer with a good down payment and if they're a good conventional buyer or whatever the case is, you don't want to run the risk of ticking off that buyer for an unknown. I mean, you may not get anybody else that wants your house.
Sure.
But it is a fine line. So we have that conversation with the sellers. Again, we're very upfront with them. And you can hold out and say, we're going to look at offers until, say this was Monday, until Wednesday at 7.
I can see a scenario where you get 2 or 3 offers,
Right.
list price plus, and you start thinking, wow, maybe we should go a little higher, here, so let's wait.
Right. So again, that's where we look at the appraisal, because if it's not going to appraise for that price, I mean, and a lot of times people in this market will offer to overpay for a house because they're just so desperate to get in something because they've missed out so many times. But again, it has to appraise, and it's again that fine line. Once you go into multiples, that first buyer, if that was your best buyer, and say they had a good loan, and then the next 2 come in and they offer you more money or the same amount of money, but they're not as solid of a buyer, have a small down payment, or asking for closing costs, you could tick that first buyer off, and they could say, we don't want to be in multiples, we're not getting in this, and they withdraw and move on to something else, and now you're left with 2 less desirable buyers. So you got to be really careful.
I got to tell you, this went so fast. We are completely out of time. Yeah, the timer says 000.
It says stop.
It says stop. Yeah, John Madding out there's got a shepherd's hook. It's gonna pull me out. Well, Wendy and Zach from Howard Hanna, you two are amazing.
Thank
Just
you so much.
amazing.
Thank you.
So every show, Michael signs us out. So go ahead.
Well, thank you very much, Jamie, and for my gorgeous co-host, and thank you to both of you for being here and all you do. Have a great week, Wadsworth.